Hello, it's Sonia here with a Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making a scarf, and I am going to be using my J hook here, or 6mm hook, and I'm also going to be using number 4 yarn, or worsted weight yarn. So this is going to be a tutorial and not an exact pattern, because you can make your scarf however long you would like. And it's going to be made a little bit differently. It is made in rows, but they're short rows. So we are going to be, there's sections of the scarf. So I'm going to give these directions as in sections. So we're going to have 6 sections, but they're going to be made up of short rows. I know it sounds weird, but just bear with me as we go along. I hope you will start to understand. Alright, so what you're going to need to do for this pattern is you are going to need to chain a multiple of 8 and then add 1. So for this sample swatch, I'm going to chain 25 because 8 times 3 is 24, and then you add 1, it's 25. Now the sample scarf that you will see, I made it with 201 chains. So you will need to make a very long chain, and what you can do, and what I did, is I used a stitch marker. So every 40 chains I just used a scrap piece of yarn like this, and I marked them so I didn't have to keep going back and counting, because that's a lot to keep track of. So I'm going to chain 25 here. Okay, so I have my 25 chains, and we are going to be working on the first section. So this is section 1, and this is going to be row 1 of section 1. So in our for the first row, in the second chain from our hook, we're working in that back bump. We are going to slip stitch, and we're just going to slip stitch across. So just make sure your stitches aren't too tight. You just want to have a nice relaxed hand when you do this. So at the end of row 1 of the first section, we will have 24 slip stitch. And you want to make sure your first row is divisible by 8. So obviously 24 divided by 8 is 3, so that the maths. You want to make sure the math is mathing with this. So here is my 24 slip stitch for row 1 of section 1. So we're going to chain 1 and turn for row 2. And we are going to be working in the back loop. So if you're not sure, I always suggest to turn your work so you can see the tops of your stitches. And this is that back loop. And we're going to work 4 slip stitch in that back loop. Okay, so we have our 4 slip stitch, so we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. This is row 3 of section 1, and our odd rows will be the right side. I mean, the wrong side doesn't look bad, but obviously the odd rows is definitely, it's going to be, what is it, party in the front, or was it party in the back, business in the front, but this is going to be party in the front for sure with this pattern. Alright, so for row 3, our first stitch is going to be a slip stitch, and again, this whole pattern is just about worked in back. This whole pattern, except for the first row, is worked entirely in the back loop. So our first stitch is a slip stitch for row 3. Our second stitch working in the back loop is a single crochet. And stitches 3 and 4 will be half double crochet. And this is row 3 of section 1. Okay, so let's begin row 4 of section 1, chain 1, turn. We're going to slip stitch in those first 4 stitches in the back loop. And this last stitch can get a little crunched, but you don't want to miss it. Okay, so now we're going to work another slip stitch, but I call it a combined slip stitch. So we're going to combine the end of this row. You can see there's like a little bump that sticks out of there. You're going to insert your hook in that bump. This yarn's a little splitting. There we go. And now we're going to insert our hook in the back loop of the main part of our project here. So right there. And we're going to have 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. And that's our combined slip stitch. And now we're going to work 3 more slip stitch. So we're going to have a total of 8. And that is our row 4. So row 5, we're going to chain 1, turn our work. So we've chained 1 and turned for row 5, and our first stitch is going to be a slip stitch. Our second stitch is going to be a single crochet, and stitches 4 through 6 are going to be half double crochet. And stitch 6 is going to, or stitch 7, I'm sorry, is going to be a single crochet, and stitch 8 is going to be a slip stitch in that back loop. And there's that row 5. So row 6, chain 1, turn, we're going to slip stitch in the next 8 stitches in the back loop. And now we're going to work that combined slip stitch, so that bump at the end of the row and the back loop in the main part. 3 loops, pull through all 3, and we're going to work 3 more slip stitch. So this time we're going to have worked a total of 12 slip stitch for row 6 here. All right, let me just double check since I was talking. Alright, so we have our 12 stitches. So row 7, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and we are going to repeat row 5. We're going to slip stitch in that first stitch, single crochet in the second one, and then we're going to work stitches 3 through 6 are going to be half double crochet. And stitch 7 is going to be a single crochet. Stitch 8 is going to be a slip stitch. And we're going to leave the last 4 stitches not worked for row 7. Okay, so row 8, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to be repeating row 6. So you actually will be repeating rows 5 and 6 until you get to the end, and then we will begin the second section. So we have our 8 slip stitch working in the end of that row, that combined slip stitch, again all in the back loop, and work 3 more. Sorry, my yarn was caught. So we have a total of 12 slip stitch there, and then we chain 1 and turn. So I said before we're going to be repeating rows 5 and 6, so you'll work this part here, and you'll leave the last 4 stitches not worked, and you're going to continue until you get to the end here. And your first section will be done. So I'm going to go do that, and I'll meet you back. Okay, so here is that first section. I repeated rows 5 and 6. So this is what I mean by this is business in the back. So we are going to chain 1 and turn to get ready for section 2, party in the front. So you can see how this is definitely the more decorative side here. So now we're going to work on the second section of our scarf here. So this is section 2, so we chained 1 and turned. So our first stitch is going to be, for row 1 of our second section is going to be, again in the back loop, a half double crochet. So we're going to work that half double crochet. Our second stitch is going to be a half double crochet. Our third stitch is going to be a single crochet, and our fourth stitch will be a slip stitch, everything in that back loop there. So now we are going to chain 1 and turn. So this is row 2 of our second section. We're going to slip stitch all the way across in the back loop and chain 1 and turn. And then row 3 of our second section, we are also going to slip stitch across. In row 4, we are going to slip stitch across. So rows 2 through 4 are slip stitch rows. And everything in the back loop. So there we go, that's what we're looking like. So we just finished row 4. So row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So for row 5, we are going to work that half double crochet. We're going to work another half double crochet, again in the back loop. We're going to work a single crochet and a slip stitch. Let's see, that back loop is hiding there. My goodness. That's what I mean by that, can hide a little bit. There we go. Got it. So you want to make sure you don't miss that last stitch. Okay, so we're not done row 5 yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work, as I call it, a long combined slip stitch. So you can see these are the ends of the rows. We're going to insert our hook into the bump at the end of that row there, just like we did with the other combined slip stitch, and we're going to insert our hook into the other one too. This is Super Saver yarn. It doesn't usually split like this, but geez Louise, it is splitting. So we have 3 loops on our hook, and now we are going to insert our hook in the back loop of the main part of our project. So now we have 4 loops on our hook. So we're going to work this long combined slip stitch. We're going to yarn over, pull through all 4. And now we're going to slip stitch in the next 3 stitches. So we'll have worked a total of 8 slip stitch for row 5. So row 6, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we are going to work in that back loop. We're going to slip stitch all the way across. We're going to have 8 slip stitch. And we'll chain 1 and turn. So now we are on row 7 of our section 2. So our first stitch for row 7 is going to be a slip stitch. Our second stitch is a single crochet, all in the back loop. And stitches 3 through 6 are going to be half double crochet. So it's 4 half double crochet. And stitches 7 and 8 are going to be a single crochet and a slip stitch. And we are not done row 7 here. Need more yarn. It's getting stuck. This yarn is like giving me all kinds of trouble. Red Heart Super Saver is usually not this much trouble. But here we are. Okay, so we are still working on row 7. So now we're going to work that long combined slip stitch. So working on the ends of the row and that bump. So there's 1, there's 2, and now we're going back into the main part of our project in that back loop. So we've got the 4 loops. Yarn over, pull through all 4 to work a slip stitch, and now we're going to work in the next 3. And we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to slip stitch in 8 stitches for row 8. And we'll leave the last 4 unworked. Chain 1 and turn. So what you're going to do now is you're going to be repeating rows 7 and 8. So I'll repeat row 7. So this is row 9, just as a refresh. So first stitch is a slip stitch. Second stitch is a single crochet. Stitches 3 through 6 are half double crochet. Stitch 7 is a single crochet. Stitch 8 is a slip stitch. And now we have to work that long combined slip stitch. So the ends of the rows, find that bump. And the reason why we do that is we don't want to just jump down because it's just not going to look very nice. And now we go back into the main part of our project, 4 loops, pull through, and then slip stitch through the remaining 3. And then row 10 we would slip stitch in 8 stitches, and then we just repeat. So you're going to repeat this all the way across till you get to the end of the row. So here is section 2. We need to finish up section 2. So you want to end on a row 7, and we need to complete 1 more row for section 2. We're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to slip stitch in 4 stitches instead of 8. And so there's 4 stitches. So now we're ready to work section 3. So row 1, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work, and in our first stitch we're going to work a slip stitch. Our second one will be a single crochet, and our last 2 stitches will be half double crochet. So there is row 1 of section 3. So now we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and we're going to slip stitch in for 4 stitches. And row 3 we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we are going to repeat row 1 here of our 3rd section. So our first stitch is a slip stitch, second is a single crochet, and the last 2 will be half double crochet. And we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to, for row 4 of our 3rd section, we're going to slip stitch in that back loop and across the next 3 stitches for a total of 4 so far for row 4. So now we're going to work that long combined slip stitch that we've done previously. So the ends of the rows, that bump. So we're going to have 3 loops, and now we need to go back to the main part of our project. that back loop and work that long combined slip stitch, and now we're going to work 3 more. And for row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we are going to be ready to start our repeat for section 3. So this is row 5. We're going to work a slip stitch in that first stitch in that back loop. Second stitch is single crochet, and stitches 3 through 6 are half double crochet, and everything in that back loop. And then stitches 7 and 8 are single crochet. Or I'm sorry, stitch 7 is a single crochet, stitch 8 is a slip stitch. Alright, so let's begin row 6. So row 6, we're going to slip stitch in 8 stitches. And again in that back loop. Now we work that long combined slip stitch to the end of the row, end of the row, and work that slip stitch in the main part, and then 3 more. So we're going to have worked a total of 12 slip stitch for row 6 here. And then we'll chain 1 and turn. And you're going to be repeating row 5, where our first stitch is that slip stitch, second is the single crochet, and again everything in that back loop. Stitches 3 through 6 are half double crochet, and stitch 7 is single crochet, stitch 8 is a slip stitch, and we leave those last 4 not worked. And then we'll work those 12 slip stitches, including that combined slip stitch, and you're going to be repeating this all the way across for our 3rd section. So I am going to go do that, and I will meet you back. Okay, so here is section 3. So we needed to end on a row 5, so which I will have put that on. You already know that. So let's finish up this 3rd section. So we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to slip stitch in those 8 stitches in that back loop. Okay, so let's chain 1 and turn our work. And now we're ready to work our 4th section. So our first stitch here in our 4th section is going to be a half double crochet. And our next stitch is going to be a half double crochet, again all in that back loop. And our stitch number 3 is a single crochet, stitch 4 is a slip stitch. And then row 2 for our 4th section, we're going to chain 1 and turn and slip stitch across in those 4 stitches in the back loop. And then row 3, we also are going to slip stitch across. And row 4, we're slip stitching across 4 stitches. So rows 2 through 4 are slip stitch rows. Okay, so we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So row 5, we are going to half double crochet in that first stitch. We're going to half double crochet in the next stitch, single crochet in the next, and slip stitch in the next. And now we're going to work that long combined slip stitch. So that bump. So we have our 3 loops going back to the main part of our project, and work that long combined slip stitch and then slip stitch in the next 3 for a total of 8 slip stitch there. So row 6, we're chaining 1, turning our work, we're going to slip stitch in 8 stitches. And then row 7, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to slip stitch in that first stitch. Our second stitch is a single crochet. Our stitches 3 through 6 are half double crochet. And again, all in that back loop. Stitch 7 and 8, one is a single crochet, and the next one, the last one, well actually it's not the last one, the next one is a slip stitch. And now we're going to continue row 7, work that long combined slip stitch, so that bump, and back into the main part of our project, and we'll work 3 more. So we're going to have a total of 12 stitches here. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work for row 8. So row 8, you're going to slip stitch in 8 stitches. And we leave the last 4 unworked and chain 1 and turn for row 9. So you're going to be repeating rows 7 and 8 all the way across, and you want to end on a row 7 for your 4th section. So I'm going to go do that and I will meet you back. Okay, so here is the 4th section right here. We ended on a row 7. So we need to finish it up. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to slip stitch in 4 stitches. That is the end of section 4. We're going to chain 1 and turn to begin section 5. So section 5, we are going to slip stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. In the last 2, we're going to work 2 half double crochet. Stitch 3 is a half double crochet, stitch 4 is a half double crochet. So for row 2 of section 5, chaining 1 and turning our work, we are going to slip stitch in 4 stitches. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And we are going to repeat row 1. So we'll slip stitch in that first stitch, single crochet in the second one, and work 2 half double crochet for row 3 here. Okay, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. Row 4, we're going to slip stitch in 4 stitches, all in that back loop. And as you can see, I'm not really working these stitches very tight. They're actually kind of loose, so you don't want them to be super tight. Alright, so now we need to work a long combined slip stitch so that those bumps. And we'll slip stitch in the next 4 of our project. So you want to go into that one, and then we have 3 more. So we're going to have a total of 8 slip stitch here. And we'll chain 1 and turn our work. So this is row 5, and this is going to be the start of the repeat here for section 5. So we're going to slip stitch in that first stitch, single crochet in the next, and then we work stitches 3 through 6 or slip stitch. And stitch 7 is a single crochet. Stitch 8 is a slip stitch. And we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So this is row 6. So we are going to slip stitch in the back loop in 8 stitches. I don't know why that last one gets crunched up. And we're going to continue. We're going to work at long combined slip stitch. So those bumps, those 3 loops on the hook, and then back in our main project. And we need to work 3 more. So we're going to have a total of 12 slip stitches for row 6 here. And chain 1 and turn. So you're going to repeating rows 5 and 6. So when you repeat row 5, you're going to leave the last 4 stitches not worked, and then slip stitch those 8 and work the long combined slip stitch, so you're going to have a total of 12. We're going to do that all the way across for section 5, and then we'll have another section and we'll be just about done. Our swatch, so you can see how it's looking so far. I think it's a really fun, neat pattern. So I will meet you back. Okay, so this is our 5th section, and we end on a row 5. So let's finish up our 5th section. So we're going to chain 1, we're going to turn our work, we're going to slip stitch in these 8 stitches in that back loop. Okay, so there we go. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. So now we're ready to begin section 6 here. So section 6. So we're going to chain 1 and turn. So section 6, our first stitch is going to be a half double crochet. Our second stitch is also going to be a half double crochet. Our third stitch is a single crochet. And our fourth stitch is a slip stitch. For row 1 of our 6th section, so rows 2 through 4 are going to be slip stitch rows, all in that back loop. Okay, so let's chain 1 and turn. We're ready for row 5 of our 6th section. So we are going to half double crochet in that first stitch in that back loop. We're going to half double crochet again, single crochet, and then slip stitch. Now we're going to work a combined slip stitch. Gotta find those bumps at the end of the row and back into the main part of our work. Work that long combined slip stitch, and now we work 3 more. And we chain 1 and turn our work. Now we work 8 slip stitch across in the back loop for row 6 here. And we'll chain 1 and turn. So now we're getting into our repeat. So this is row 7. So we're going to slip stitch in the first stitch. We're going to single crochet in the second. And we're going to work stitches 3 through 6 will be half double crochet. And then stitch 7 is a single crochet, stitch 8 is a slip stitch. And now we need to continue on this row. We're going to work that long combined slip stitch. And go back into the main part of our work. We're going to work 3 more. So we're going to have a total of 12 stitches here. And then row 8, we slip stitch across, so chain 1 and turn, and slip stitch across in 8 stitches. And chain 1 and turn. So again, you're going to be repeating rows 7 and 8 across, and we're going to end on row 7, and we'll finish up our swatch. So that's what we're looking like. I think when it's like this, you can't really see it very well, but so it's coming along. So I will meet you back at the end of our 6th section here. Okay, so this is our 6th section. So we need to finish it up. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. So now we are going to be working 4 slip stitch. And we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to slip stitch in that first stitch. Single crochet in the next one, and our last 2 stitches will be half double crochet. And our 6th section is done. So now we need to work on some finishing here. So we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to work all the way across this row. So we need to work 24 slip stitch. So in the back loop, you're going to slip stitch in that first 4 stitches. So now this is our repeat here. We're going to work that combined slip stitch. So it's not the long combined, just the combined. So that bump, and then in the main part of our work, So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we just repeat that across. Go in that bump. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do that all the way across. So I have 24 stitches. So whatever you started out with is however many you want to end with. So then you're going to complete that, and then your next row will be a right side row. You're going to chain 1 and turn. You're going to slip stitch again in the back loop, and then we'll work on finishing up our, this is our swatch, but you would finishing up our scarf. So I'm going to go do that. Okay, so I have worked those 2 rows of slip stitch. You would need to weave in any loose ends, block your scarf if you need to, and then you're all set. And I think this is a really pretty scarf. The one I'm currently making is for donation, but I need to make one for myself because I really like it. But I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.